I got the wrong screen on. There we go. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and everybody. Welcome back to Red Hot Talk once again. And look who's back. Rod is back. Yeah, we did say that last week. You were having some medical appointments, and everybody wished you well.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah. Oh, that's very kind. That's very kind. I just go along now and again, and John says, "What? You still alive? Brilliant. See you next time."
So just a routine checkup.
Yeah, nothing major. No.
Okay, good to hear. Good to hear. Well, good to have you back, of course. But today we're going to have some interesting chat about lens mounts. And just before we start, I don't know how many mounts you can think of and count. I initially counted about 6 or 7, maybe because I'm thinking about the mirrorless side of it. But apparently, Rod found 12. Was it 12 mounts? You said?
Yeah, I've got 12. Yeah, and
12 mounts.
I thought I'd better not include Leica M and the kind of older legacy mounts. I'm sticking to current
mount. Mounts that you can still get lenses for or buy the camera. Yep, so they are current. Yeah, not the old Minotas or Pentax K or those legacy mounts.
I should have put Sony Alpha in, shouldn't I? Didn't think of that.
Well, they're the Minota mounts, right? The A mount you talk about.
But then, but that'd be 13, and that wouldn't be good, would it? not that I'm superstitious.
But anyway, wow, we got quite a few comments already. We're going to go through them a little bit more, a little bit later. But I'm going to take your lead because you found more lens mount than I did. So, would you like to maybe run through the list of mounts, and then we can maybe go through one by one and talk a little bit about it?
I might regret this, but I have ranked them.
Oh,
from 1 to 12.
Okay.
From 1 to 12.
Oh, 1 to 12.
I realise now this might be quite controversial, but I have reasons. It's quite a complicated thing, so I tried to go by how many lenses you can get, how well supported the mount is or was, how things look for the future, and so on and so on. So I think there's a couple on my list that I'm going to get in trouble for, but I'm going to stick to it.
Before you review the first one, I would like all of you who are listening right now to do the same exercise and things that you know that are current. You know what Rod's list may surprise you a bit, and then because I actually forgot a couple of them completely until Rod mentioned to me, and I was like, oh wow, I forgot about that mount altogether. So you guys have same thing again, and then think of the mounts that you remember, and see if you can contribute some of the comments that we are going to mention in today's chat. So, without further ado, shall we go on with the first one? You ranked them, so this is the least popular, right? In your opinion?
Well, I say popular. I think I'm going to use the word worst. Let's go for it. Because I've got no data about what's been popular or not. I've only got my own opinion and assessment of what happened and so on. Right. So number 12.
Yep.
Look out. Canon EF-M.
Jesus.
Exactly. How many people bought into the EF-M system thing? This is brilliant. This is the future. And
I bought it.
Few later, Canon's like, oh, do you know what? We've got a better idea. Cheers.
Oh dear.
We go to RF.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, I think this is my worst mount of recent history because of this. I mean, even when it was a thing, the lenses were only, they weren't that great, were they? They were definitely on the kind of budget consumer side. It's not a lot of choice. The cameras were okay, but the lens you could get not so much. I think Sigma dabbled for a while, didn't they? And maybe Tamron.
Sigma dabbled on everything available.
I know. So a couple of EF-M lenses, but mostly they came from Canon.
Yep.
And they were all right, but you just didn't get much of a choice. And you probably had one. I had an M100 for a while, which I won at some event, and it's my least favorite camera of all time. Horrible little thing. But I used various others. I used the M5, I used the M6 for a while. So I know what they're like. The cameras are quite good. But the lenses, No, and I think you know, there are probably a lot of people who stuck with it for a few years thinking, yes, building momentum, it's going to take off, and then this will be the future. Then it kind of went away.
It's very naughty for Canon to do that, right? You know, they
for sure.
They develop a new system, promoting it, get people to buy it, and then they literally killed it.
yeah. Or they left it outside in the cold. I thought, well, you look after yourself this winter.
But having said that, I did actually buy the original EF-M, the first one. And because I don't know, many of you may remember that I was a Canon user, so I had a bunch of EF lenses. So when I remember the first EF-M, if you buy it at launch, it also throw in an EF to M adapter. So I got the adapter free from the camera, so I can use all my EF lenses. So which is okay deal for me at the time. I thought, I can give it a go, give it a try.
So now, Jimmy, you've got more direct experience than me then. Am I right in thinking, though, that you could mount EF lenses but not EF-S lenses?
Only EF lenses, not EF-S.
So we'll come back to EF-S. Don't worry.
Yep.
We'll come back to that. So, right. But no, that is my beef. I thought the EOS M5 was good back in its day. It was like a proper little enthusiast mirrorless camera.
Well,
if only the lens has been there for it.
Yeah, but the good thing is the bodies are quite small.
They are.
And they're APS-C cameras, but they are really tiny. And remember, like the EF-M, the original EF-M was not that much bigger than a point-and-shoot camera, so they made a very small camera.
They did. I think that was good. I just don't know why. I don't know why it went nowhere. I can only imagine that somebody at Canon said, "Oh, hang on a minute, are we going to do a full frame version?" And then somebody said, "We can't. The man won't do it." I said, "Oh, well, we need to think about this. Okay, we'll say nothing. We'll work on an RF mount, and perhaps the EF-M system will like quietly go away." But I saw Chuck L's comment there, who's predicting that Influence will be pushing the retro EF-M mount cameras. Do you know what? That could happen. That could actually happen.
Anything could happen.
I think on that basis, I think the worst one of all, the EOS M100, will become a cult sensation. So it just to spite me. Just to spite me. But we'll see. Maybe we should...
Just remember you hear from Rod first.
we should be a little cheeky and make this a rumour. I'll see if I can pitch an opinion piece about this.
Yep.
About
I'm curious how many actually had one of these EF-M cameras. I already see Chris had one. I think you said that you had one of these EF-M camera. Yeah, there you go. Chris had an EF-M.
One of which model?
Yeah.
Perhaps you'll tell us.
My one had the contrast detect AF. Were they all contrast detect? I didn't think any of them actually have any phase detect. I can't remember now.
I can't remember. No, I think they went to phase detect because they went over to the dual pixel CMOS 24 megapixel sensor. I'm pretty sure they went to phase detect AF. I'm not sure the early ones were. But yeah. No, I think it's proper autofocus.
Oh, wow. Okay, I didn't know that.
yeah, I think so. But the video was a bit primitive. I don't know whether there was ever any intention. I'm not sure how strongly they pitched them as kind of content creator cameras or hybrid cameras. I think they did because Canon at the time was very much about storytelling, as it still is. So I think video would have been a part of it, but the standards then were a bit lower.
Well, to be honest, I mean, I don't think even back then the content creation wasn't really,
as sophisticated.
And also like the demand were not as great as what we're experiencing right now, and majority of the vloggers or YouTubers at that point were using DSLRs and a 24-105 IS lens. Majority of them were just using their setup. There's because no one else using other system at all. They're considering the focusing, at that point, I think DSLRs, just the dual megapixels AF from Canon were the most sophisticated one. So if you do it in live mode view,
it did work pretty well. Yeah,
it worked very, very well. And there was nothing like that, in terms of mirrorless. Whether you look at Panasonic, even mirrorless, if Panasonic or Michael from Olympus, neither of them had very good video AF at the time. And so I think for majority of content creators, they were still using the Canon setup that quite a few famous vloggers were using at the time. The EF-M was an afterthought in terms of from content creation's point of view. They weren't really thinking about use of it. There's no IS, there's no IBIS, there's no lenses for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think I counted. I did a best lenses guide for the system a while ago. I think I counted 7.
Yeah.
But I wasn't including independent lenses. But that's not a lot to go on. And there certainly weren't any like professional lenses or video lenses or anything like that. So it's a shame. I see Cheesy Dipper T. Why can't I think of usernames like that? Had the EOS M6. I think the EOS M6 was pretty good. I would have liked an EVF, but kind of everything.
You could buy the external EVF if I remember correctly.
You could. I'm not sure you could do it with the Mark II. I don't remember, but you could buy an external EVF. Look a bit like a Leica with a wide angle optical finder on top.
There you go. You get a Leica for a tenth of the money.
You ought to be able to buy fake Leica badges and red dots to put on your camera. That'd be cool.
Oh well, it's easily fake these days.
I'm sure you can do that. Yeah.
So that's the EF-M mount.
Sorry, EOS.
Would you all listening now agree that is the worst mount? Well, we can come back to it after we review all 12. Then we can see whether you think it's the worst.
I think all of these mounts technically are fine. I'm only calling them the worst in terms of how the manufacturers treated them, what changed, whether you can still get lenses, what the lenses were like, and so on. So it's all made up really, but it's just a general feeling about these mounts.
It is a bit sad. It is a bit sad.
Now the next one I'm really worried about.
Okay.
I'm really worried about, but I'll explain why. It's Pentax K. Because not because there's anything wrong with the mount or the cameras. I've got a very high regard for both. But the support has just gone. So occasionally Pentax brings out another lens that nobody asked for. So see this side towards screen says I should have put it right to the start. Okay. Sorry about that.
Look, this side to a screen, best lens mount, K mount.
I know, but you see, the world didn't agree, and I'm just reflecting events. Right. You see, the thing in favour of the Pentax K mount was it lasted so long.
Yeah.
You could have your Pentax lenses, bayonet mount lenses from the 1970s, and put them on a modern camera. Fantastic. So really big thumbs up to Pentax for that. But then a couple of weird things happened. So do you remember is it the KM, the mirrorless camera?
Yes, I remember that, yeah.
That took the same K-mount lenses. Brilliant. So they stopped doing it. Annoying.
Yeah.
But my big problem really is that Pentax has kept on pushing out these APS-C cameras, which aren't ideal for the old, effectively 35mm full frame Pentax lenses.
Yep.
And I think if Pentax had tried to be harder with the K1 and K1 Mark II and just made more of the full frame thing, maybe it cost too much, I don't know. That would have been better. But the bottom line is that with the kind of collapse of interest in DSLRs, all the independent lens makers said, right, forget it then, we'll stop doing them. So now you just can't buy new K-mount lenses except from Pentax. So you can't buy Sigma Pentax lenses now. I think, did Tamron make them as well? I can't remember.
I know Tokina made some. Way back. Yeah.
But then, so everybody stopped. You know, you can buy them used if you look around, but that is why I've got the K-mount right down there, because the support has kind of evaporated, and sad to say, I do think the lenses were a little bit patchy even in the heyday.
Yeah, I do like K-mount lenses, especially some of those limited lenses, and I think they
are nice. Yeah, they are nice.
They're nice. They're quirky. They're small, very well built, just like the bodies. And I mean, in general, I do like Pentax stuff, but it is quite a shame that in some ways, I think that even though they're now really trying to be a niche player, trying to keep the DSLRs going, they are literally the only one now that makes new DSLRs. I know you can still buy Nikon and Canon DSLRs, but how long are you going to get them? Which is a question mark there. I'm pretty sure they're more or less 100% mirrorless now. So Pentax really the only one left. But how long is Pentax going to remain in these situations? We don't know. Forever. It'll be here when all the others have gone.
But if only you could have got modern K-mount lenses with linear autofocus, proper IS, proper optical design, even if it meant incorporating digital corrections too. If only you could get modern lenses in K-mount, and you can't. It's just like retro vintage stuff, really.
And I do agree with you. I mean, I think if they want to go with the DSLR route, I would have just maybe invested in full frame altogether, and so then you can fully realize or take the full advantage of some of the vintage K-mount lenses way back in the 60s and 70s. In APS-C, just doesn't look good in those lenses, to be honest. And they weren't sharp for digital purposes, but at least in the full frame, you got less of a crop, so you don't realize as bad as the APS-C. APS-C just magnify everything. Yeah,
it does. It exaggerates all the weaknesses, really, which is a shame. So, sadly, I'm going to get past Pentax now, because I was worried about that one. I'm glad that one's out of the way. Let's see what I've got next.
I'm just looking at this side to a screen's comment. Well, I guess Rod is not on Pentax Christmas card list.
But they never sent me one anyway. Never sent me Christmas cards anyway.
Yeah. Well, I don't think they're even in the social medias. Are they? Dear me.
Well, when I finish with this, I'm going to be on nobody's Christmas card list, I promise you. Sorry. Right.
All right. Okay. What's next?
Okay. EF-S. Canon EF-S.
Oh, second Canon.
In its heyday.
Yep.
Great lens mount. Lots and lots of lenses for it. Not a problem. Now, of course, with the decline of the DSLR market, that's all gone. So you're not really going to get to buy any new ones. But there's always something that niggled me, which I think it has echoes of the whole EF-M mount scenario about it. Why were EF-S lenses engineered so you couldn't put them on a full frame body? They would only go on the APS-C bodies. Yeah, so there's no upgrade path really. You couldn't have an APS-C Canon, then get a full frame one and use your old lenses in crop mode, because it wouldn't fit. Why do that? Why do that? So that's kind of knocked them a little way down my list, because that seems to me at best unnecessary and at worst a bit cynical, really.
Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting thing about Canon is that they always develop things separately. And then they're never thinking about cross compatibilities, and until now, and then
until now, yes, yeah.
Until now, so like, if you buy into the APS-C line, you literally have to buy the APS-C lenses. Well, of course, you can use EF lenses, but not vice versa. And you can't use some of these crop lenses. You thought, oh, maybe I could increase the focal length or decrease the focal length, by adapting to full frame lenses with a high megapixel count, so I'm not losing too much. I can still use the lenses.
Or I can cross over gently, maybe I'll buy a full frame Canon. I know it's going to crop and I get fewer megapixels, but at least I can use my old lenses for a while. But you can't do that. Perhaps somebody can tell me, just skipping ahead a little bit, can you put RFS lenses? So that's the new RF mount, but the APS-C lenses. I don't know if they're physically altered in the same way that the old EF-S lenses were. So can you put an RFS lens on a full frame RF body? I don't know. I'll have to look into that.
Right, I'm not an RF expert. I haven't touched any Canon camera for a while, but I know Nikon. If you use APS-C lenses, you can use it on a full frame lens in crop mode, in DX mode. So that's automatic.
It'll switch automatically. Yeah, same with Sony. So that's interesting. So that's my complaint about EF-S. Back in the day, it's a great system because there are lots and lots of lenses, including some pretty good ones.
Yeah,
and the fact that you couldn't put them on a full frame body, well, it didn't matter quite so much because back in the day, APS-C cameras, APS-C DSLRs were a system of their own. You didn't worry about it. It's a complete system. Now they're used as a kind of teaser for full frame.
Yeah.
So it's things are different. But yeah, that annoyed me about EF-S really. One is that all the independent makers ditched it straight away when they thought, DSLRs are dead, well, we won't bother then. And the other being that there's this incompatibility with the full frame bodies that just seems so unnecessary.
Yeah, I mean, it does make me wonder sometimes, you know, what's happening in the boardroom of Canon, you know, like, when they're sitting down, you know, like going through these spreadsheets, you know, or numbers, you know, like, look at that, we got about like EF-M, we got EF-S, we got the EF, you know, we've got 3 mounts completely doing separate businesses and separate marketing for separate people. They're not linked to each other, and why bother make them interchangeable or cross-compatible? Because they're all aiming for different people. Are they lacking a foresight or something?
Or maybe we're missing the point. Maybe they had this discussion with the EF-S team, talking to the EF team. The EF team saying, "I need to make your mount compatible so we can get some of your customers when they upgrade." And the EF-S team saying, "You're not having our customers. They're going nowhere. They're staying with us."
So in some way, I mean, by the sound of it, they might be competing against each other internally, you know, see who does the best.
I wonder.
Yeah.
Who knows? Yeah. Who knows? Because a lot of large corporations are siloed in this way, and there is an element of competition involved. So who knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
Sorry, Canon. In terms of popularity, EF-S should perhaps have been a bit higher, but I think with what's happened and these unnecessary technical constraints, I just think...
Well, we at the end of the day, we are looking at 2026. We're looking at current situations, right? You know, like... and it doesn't look very good for EF-S, that's for sure.
No. Right, okay. So... Oh, I forgot to talk about Pentax Q. I'm not going to talk about Pentax Q. It has its fans, but generally I've managed to avoid them so far, so... But can't take the Q very seriously. Sorry.
Well, they only had about 8 lenses, right? I think Q-mount only had 8 lenses. I don't think anybody else make lenses for them.
That's 7 too many. Sorry. Right. The next one might seem a bit strange, but I'll explain. It's Fujifilm G. So.
Oh yes.
Medium format. It's a great mount, great camera system. But where are all the lenses? They're all Fujinons at the moment, which is fine. But where's the third party interest? I know Laowa does a couple, but they're kind of niche lenses. There's a Laowa tilt shift, I think, or Fujifilm G. But here's a mount that's quite mature now. It's been around. How long's Fujifilm medium format been around? I'm going to guess at 5 years or so.
No, but maybe a bit more than that. Maybe 6 years. Yeah, I think maybe 6-7 years. I think the very first GFX came out before COVID, I think.
So, given that, the reason it's not higher up my list is there's no technical argument against it, and the G lenses are extremely good, and they're not ridiculously expensive either. It's just I feel it's quite a narrow, closed system that hasn't really opened up.
I personally think because it's the format itself. It's not so much about being popular. For medium format, it's always going to be a niche cameras anyway. If you looking back at history, it's not everybody's cameras. It's not everyday camera. They're bigger, they're chunkier, the files are huge. It's not a very easy system to live with, and because of that, I don't know. I mean, in terms of sales, Fujifilm, I think, is very satisfactory. The system is successful, based on the internal figures and whatnot. But I think if you compare the sales of the GFX system compared to their own X system, in terms of number, I think it's probably only about maybe less than 10% of the overall sales compared to altogether. And if it's based on that number, I mean, why third party wants to make lenses for them? And it's a cost to them. It's a cost.
So I guess this is the only reason it's nearer the bottom of my list than the top, is because it is quite a narrow system. It's very good, but it's if there are going to be lenses in future, they're going to be coming from Fujifilm, I think.
Yeah.
It's not going to expand into a very big system that's an alternative to regular mirrorless cameras. It's always going to be quite niche. I think Fujifilm G range does pretty well because Hasselblad seems to have pretty much given up with pro medium format and it's put it all into the XCD range. Which I should put XCD in, shouldn't I?
They are basically aiming for the Leica bunch, who doesn't want to spend 50 grand professional medium format customers. Those are very few now. I talk about studio houses, big production houses who buy that kind of cameras, and how many of them are still around, to be quite honest. And if they need high megapixels, and I think most of them actually use much lower end cameras because you can get similar sort of quality now in digital forms. And why spend five times the price?
It's only high-end commercial photographers and photographers who organise events and activities for well-heeled private customers. And some of these private customers have got a very, very great deal of money. But I think Hasselblad X2D is for people who find Leicas too common. So if you're walking down the Formula One pit lane, everyone's got a Leica. But you're the only one with a Hasselblad.
Exactly.
That'd be my thinking.
Exactly that. Oh, look at that. We have Joseph.
Oh, no.
From Taiwan. Oh, hello. We got people from Taiwan. That's good.
Well, there we go.
Yay. Excellent. Right.
Thanks for joining in.
Thanks for joining in. And you said that it's top secret place for great street photography. Okay. Well, I'll take your word for it. Personally, I haven't been to Taiwan, and I'll definitely make it out of my bucket list. I'm going to be hitting Taiwan hopefully very, very soon. And that would be awesome. I mean, I think the GFX is a good discussion here. I mean, I think in terms of popularity, it's right up there, at least within the Fuji community. Everyone who uses an X-mount now want to eventually get a GFX. Whether it's like I'm owning a Toyota now, maybe hopefully one day I get a Ferrari. That kind of sense, I think you can experience medium format in a much more affordable way compared to others.
I think the issue for Fujifilm is the same as it is for Panasonic. They've got a smaller format and a larger format, and there's zero upgrade path between them. There's no overlap. The mounts are separate, incompatible, and irreconcilable. You can't put your favorite X lenses on the GFX. And you can't put GFX lenses on your X mount camera. They are different systems. Same as Panasonic. You've become loyal to Panasonic through Lumix G. You go to Lumix S, you've got to start again. So
actually, now you talk about medium format. What happened to Pentax medium format, the 645D?
You still buy it. I think it's like a lot of the DSLRs. It drifts in and out of availability.
Right.
You look around and somebody's got it, and Pentax is still advertising it, but I think it's quite primitive by Fujifilm GFX standards.
But that's feels more like a traditional film SLR, a medium format camera. You got a clunky
actually
slap when you
yeah, it is an SLR rather than mirrorless. Yeah. If that's your thing.
Oh yeah.
I never used a Pentax. What's it called? The 6x7 or 6.7.
6.
Big SLR.
Oh, don't mention 6.7 in front of my kids. They do this meme at the moment. There's 6.7 memes that everybody's talking about. Yes.
but it's that is loud. That is a loud camera.
Yeah.
So
yeah. It's like a missile hitting the ground every time you click the shutter.
It is. I think it's like somebody slamming your front door. It doesn't. It's not just one time. It's like somebody slamming the front door, then the glass falls out. That kind of sound.
Yeah, definitely not a discreet camera. Everyone will know you take a shot.
No. But talking of that, you see increasingly now photographers getting nostalgic about mirrors.
Yes.
And saying, "Oh, do you know what? I miss the noise of a mirror." And I was watching some YouTubers saying that in his professional work, he always enjoyed it. He always enjoyed using a DSLR, or not so much him, but the model liked to know when a shot had been taken.
Yeah.
And you can hear it.
Yeah.
And then you can be ready for the next pose. Whereas with a quiet camera, the model doesn't know how to time the poses with the shots, which is interesting, I thought.
It's a very different game now, I don't know how many of you are familiar with fashion photography in the last few years, and all these younger models now, they work in a very, very different way. There's also a term now called speed posing, so instead of let's say for a typical fashion shoot, you would kind of have like about 20 poses that the model already prepare for the particular outfit. And then the photographer also expected to take around, 50 shots, 2 or 3 frames per pose, making sure you got the right one. And then nowadays, speed posing is that it's a continuous process.
You just do it anyway. Yeah.
Because you won't hear anything, and you don't. Instead of using strobes, you're using continuous light, and then the model is in a continuous motion. And you're just relying on the camera's eye focus AF to nail the focus, and you're doing high speed shots. So you end up maybe 1,000 shots per shoot. It's a huge amount of numbers, and but from that 1,000 you may pick up 5. So
this is the thing.
It's a very different game now, unfortunately, and so you don't necessarily need to hear it anymore because they just keep moving around, and then it's relying on the photographer or the art director to pick the one that they want for that particular moment.
Interesting, isn't it? Interesting. Yeah. Are we getting some more comments about lens mounts anyway? Robert Mills asked ChatGPT.
Yep.
And it put the XCD last. Well, I don't know. I'd have to talk to their algorithm about that, because it's clearly not the same as mine.
Yeah.
But yeah, fair enough. Yeah, and somebody's mentioning Sony as well. We'll come to Sony.
Well, that's Paul, right? Paul is here.
Yeah,
Hello,
yeah, and of course, yeah. We're in the presence of royalty.
Yay!
Excellent. That's the see, Paul. Yeah. So I'm sure when I get to Sony, he's going to have something to say. So I seem to remember, Paul, in a previous life, you did some work with Sony.
So stay tuned, because Sony's coming up. But what's next?
Okay, what's next? We're getting the tricky ones out of the way first. Right, this may not be well received. Canon RF.
Oh, you're going to upset so many people.
It's a good mount, but Canon's licensing restrictions are so stringent, nobody can make any lenses for it. Or if they do, they have to be so different to anything Canon makes that there's not a problem. But this is the thing. I've got an RF system myself. You don't get the third-party choice you take for granted with other setups. You can always do the adapter thing.
Yep.
And put out with having dumb lenses, which is fine. Can put all sorts of vintage glass on your Canon camera, possibly. But as for native lenses, which were with AF and auto exposure and all the rest of it, work properly with the camera body.
Yep.
Canon's not letting it happen. So I've got no problems at all with the mount, technically or otherwise. It's just that I think Canon's being rather restrictive and preventing it from being as popular as it should be. I think Canon's strategies probably makes more money for Canon.
Yeah,
but I don't think it helps sales.
But is it though? You know, and the thing is, you know, it's chicken and egg, right? You know, you want people to buy your RF mount lenses, you need to have the RF mount camera first. And a lot of beginners or first timers, you know, they look at a system and say, "Oh man, I can't afford those lenses." I mean, if they were like a couple of £100 startup lens from third party, I could get a body, get a cheap lens, and start with that. And if I like it, I can upgrade later on. And I think that what Canon has done is completely eliminated that route for beginners or first timer to get into the system, and rather they force them to pay more to get their lenses.
I think so, and I think if there are cheaper RF lenses in a range, but they're not terribly good, to be honest. I've used a few of them. In particular, I'd call out the RF 35mm 1.8.
Yep.
So-called macro lens, which looks as if it should be very useful, and it is, but it's got autofocus actuators from another age. It's noisy and it's clunky. It's not quite like Pentax, not quite like Pentax, but not far off. And it's just not as good as rival lenses. So if you use a Panasonic Lumix S35 1.8, it's quiet and silent. The Canon is not. And your only alternative is to pay twice as much for the 1.4 version. Yeah, which is no longer a consumer lens, really. It's a pro lens.
So it sounded like pretty much like the old EF-35mm f2. That they didn't have the USM motors in it, so when you autofocus it, it's got that really old school winding noise from the motor. Is that sounded like that?
I'm not sure what the actuator is. It might be nano USM. I'm not quite sure, but to me, it's just not really up to the job. It does the job, but it's just not refined enough in this day and age. Yeah. And this is my issue with the RF mount, that the affordable lenses are a little bit patchy. They're very good optically. I've got the 50mm 1.8, which is really cheap and optically rather good. But that is the same. It's just too clunky and grindy. Yeah. So that's why the RF mount is a little way down my list, partly because Canon won't let third-party makers do any lenses to compete with its own, and partly because the lenses that Canon does make are not universally good, let's say.
Well, I mean, Chuck brought up a very good point here that I think that ties into what you're just saying there. You know, like thinking about a lot of the nice, let's say the Trinity lenses, the 1635 2.8, 2470 2.8, and the 7200 2.8. These lenses, if you buy it natively from Canon, these are L series lenses. If you're looking for decent range with 2.8 aperture, you are paying a lot of money for them nowadays. I think the 70 to 200 is about over $2,000 now, two, three.
I know, you're straight up to $2,000 for these lenses, aren't you? And more.
So very expensive. And if you're thinking about the equivalent in the Sigma categories, and then the Sigma equivalent is half the price easily, you know, for the 7200 2.8. And so it is a shame that people can't have that access to to these lenses from other manufacturers. You know, Tamron makes great 7200 2.8, and Sigma does it. And it's a shame that we can't have that from the RF. And otherwise, you know, you will see a lot more RF users. That's what I can see.
Well, I think so, and I have to call out one of the more recent RF lenses. It's the cheap 70 to 300. Yeah. Do you remember that from Canon's DSLR
I remember.
days? Yeah. That was a bad lens then. Don't buy it. Don't buy it. It hasn't even got stabilization. Horrible lens. So I think
is that the one with the diffractive optic, the DO lens?
Oh no, no, it's not. That'd be far too expensive. No, it's a really cheap,
Right.
70 to 300.
Right.
I'm not quite sure what the aperture range is or what the full designation is, but it looks like a real bargain, but it isn't. It's because it's. But this is what I think Canon does sometimes. It goes too cheap, thinking it'll be okay, and it's not. So I think that can happen. That can happen too. I see Paul Genger's thrown us a question. I hate it when people ask me things I don't know. Can we think of a lens man the original camera maker only produced 3 native lenses for? I know, but I can't put my finger on it. 3 native lenses. That wasn't. No, I know. Is yeah. I should have put this in, shouldn't I? Nikon CX. Is that the one you're thinking of, Paul?
Nikon CX.
Yeah, Nikon 1. CX.
Oh, yes. Oh my God, I forgot about that too.
Weren't there more than 3? So maybe that's not the one he means. No, I think there might have been more than 3. We're going to have to think about this a bit more, aren't we?
The Nikon 1, they had a few primes as well, right? And
there's a 28.
There's a really fast prime, I remember. There's a really fast prime. Was it f1.4?
Well, it's a 1.8, I think.
Was it 1.8? I can't remember now.
Vivitar lens too. Well,
Vivitar.
I'm still thinking Nikon 1, but I don't know. Of course.
Right. Okay. Just a quiz for you guys. Yeah. Who still remember Vivitar?
I know it has surfaced. It has surfaced as a kind of Chinese brand.
Yep.
Since then, there've been a couple of really, really cheap Vivitar point and shoot cameras. You know, the kind of things that the ones using phone camera tech from 10 years ago.
Yeah.
In a
Paul,
point and shoot camera.
Paul, by mentioning Vivitar, you're showing your age. You're really showing your age. Well, my age too, because I remember Vivitar.
So 13 lenses made for Nikon 1. I can't. Paul, you need to be a guest on this chat. You know.
Yeah, we bring you in for one chat. We'll bring you in for one chat.
We'll bring you in.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, we have to think of that then. Oh, right. What about Minolta lens mount?
So SR is that the one that evolved into Sony A? See, if I'd remembered the Nikon CX, I could have had this on 14, but then we'd still be here tomorrow if I did that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my beef with Canon RF. It's very exclusive, and a lot of it wouldn't be so bad if all the lenses Canon made were good. Right. But if you compare Canon's affordable primes with, say, Panasonic's, they feel a generation apart in the way they work.
Right, okay, really Paul's got the answers here now. So the answer to his question is Canon AC 51A, 3570, 75 to 200, 4.5. Whoa. The AC mount. Oh, yes. Oh, remember. Gosh. Wow, that is, that's a trick question. Oh, my God. Oh, wow.
AC.
You know, the old school one.
Oh, so, you know, the more... Now, I see, I never shot with Canon back in those days. I wouldn't have known about that.
Yeah, but the one with the clunky motor on the side.
seems to me like Canon's got form, hasn't it? EF-M, AC.
Yep.
It's got... Canon has form with creating a lens mount, thinking, no, I'm not going to bother. You bought one, never mind, buy this instead.
Yeah.
That's bad, isn't
it? And still thank you for the money.
Yeah, thanks for the money, yeah. We're keeping it. Try and
getting a refund.
They'll give you something. Yeah. Interesting. That's going back a long way, though. I think you're tricking us here.
I think it's in the 80s, right? I think the AC lenses, it's quite old. I think it was Kai Wong who not recently, now a couple of years ago, made a video on the AC50, I think, and then
okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he made something like that, and about the original autofocus lens, was really way back.
Interesting. Yeah, I remember they had that bulky motor on the side.
Yeah,
And
it's a white body as well.
Here's me complaining about my modern Canon primes. What must that have been like to use?
Yeah,
FD mount in disguise.
yeah, it wasn't FD. It wasn't FD. Yeah, yeah. That's another mount, FD, but these are vintage mounts that we're not talking about vintage.
Yeah, otherwise we're going to end up with M42 soon, aren't we? And Leica, L39 and all the rest.
Yep, yeah. Okay, so what's next? What's next?
We're in the middle group now. I'm going to say Fujifilm X.
Oh, well, that is controversial, right? Okay.
Well, I don't know. I mean, we're not so very far from the top now. We're not at the bottom, so it's like I'm kind of middle of the road with the Fujifilm X because there is an increasing amount of third-party support.
Yes,
I'll say that, but I do think the third-party lenses, and I think you might have a couple already, and I think you've seen a few.
Yep.
They do slightly embarrass the Fujinon lenses, which the pro Fujinon lenses are professional quality.
Yep.
But the others, especially the consumer zooms, I think they're quite variable. And I think the reason I haven't put the Fujifilm X higher is because you still can't get a huge range of lenses. You can get third-party ones to fill in some gaps or act as alternatives, but I'm just disappointed that hasn't been more from Fujifilm itself.
No, well, I think I don't know. I mean, it's probably down to their own doing, to be quite honest. And then if you think of the camera's popularity has surged ever since the X100 has kind of gone viral a few years back now. And because of that, I think they're now more focusing on churning out camera bodies than lenses. You know, like they've been very busy with their bodies. You know, they're releasing 2, maybe sometimes 3 bodies a year, and which is very, very frequent for a camera maker. And on the other hand, lenses. How many new lenses from Fuji released in the past 5 years? I don't know. 3, 4 lenses, mostly the LM lenses, the linear motor lenses, which are the newer type. But apart from that, they're still relying on the older a bunch of lenses that's lurking around that is actually not tailored for the 40 megapixel, which is all their latest cameras are.
I don't feel that they are, no. And I think my ongoing worry with the X system is, pardon my arbitrary ranking, is are these lens mounts you would want to get into? And the thing that is holding me back with the Fujifilm X is the lenses that aren't professional quality can be variable.
Yeah.
And you've got people like Sigma producing better alternatives for less money.
They do.
Which is embarrassing.
Yep.
And the pro lenses are so big, you start thinking, well, why am I shooting with APS-C? If my system's going to be this big, to hell with it. Should I not just be shooting full frame? That it seems to me the Fujifilm is not really exploiting the advantage of the small format for smaller lenses. But I might be the only person who thinks that. I went to a Fujifilm thing a while ago and offered that opinion, and nobody spoke for about 5 minutes. So I'm guessing I won't say that again.
Well, I mean, now being an ex-user myself, and I wouldn't disagree with you. I mean, the only Fujinon lenses that I bought were the linear motor lenses, the 33 1.4 and the 18 1.4 LM. That's a great lens.
But they're not small, are they? You would have thought an APS-C lens
no.
with those specifications would be quite small.
The 33 1.4 isn't exactly big, but it's a lot bigger than the original 35 1.4, the old one. They're quite a bit chunkier and definitely double the price. And the older one had a little bit more charm to it. I think the rendering and also the overall aesthetic is more. It can kind of brings me back to the original Canon EF-50 1.4. I don't know if anyone remember that lens. The EF 1.4 were popular fast prime at the time. It wasn't that expensive. It was small. And then if you want anything nicer, you go for the 50 1.2, which is like triple the money. that's how I feel about the old 35 1.4 and the Fuji XF and the newer LM motor 33 1.4. You're paying a lot more money, double the size, and while the older one wasn't exactly that bad if you're just looking at or taking images, but I do like the new 33 1.4 for the much faster and quieter motor, that's for sure. And then
oh yeah, definitely,
and it's
optically brilliant.
And it's weather seal. You know, I don't think the old lens was weather seal, so that's another difference there. But it is bigger. It is bigger for all the newer lenses for sure.
But I just felt, because I've seen the 18 and the 33, I just felt, hold on, are you sure this is APS-C? Because you know, they're not small. Also they do the thing I can't stand, which is when the camera's off, they don't park. The groups inside, so you get the clonking sound. You can hear it. Very unsettling.
But it's a thing now. You know, like a lot of the Viltrox lenses does exactly the same thing too. They don't park it. I think I have one right here. This is the this one parks it, and the 16 millimeters 1.8. This one, Viltrox. Oh, actually no, this one doesn't do that either. Oh, actually, that's weird, because another one that I'm testing actually does rock around. Yeah.
Bit disconcerting. But I think my feeling about the X-mount is it's confused.
Yep.
I don't know whether Fujifilm's confused. I'm sure they're not, but it feels it, because it's like, oh, we're very professional. Oh, we're very compact vlogging. Well, which is it? So with your XM5, if only there were more lenses with the right size for that camera. You know, just titchy little primes would be nice. And I know that you've got the Fujifilm primes like the F2s going back years. It'd be nice if they could be refreshed and updated if they need it. Perhaps they don't, because they're really nice lenses. But I just feel that Fujifilm's thinking it's a professional system now, we need to make pro lenses. Almost like OM system, they've forgotten that the charm of the system is its size, not its professional qualifications. So that's why X-mount isn't higher.
I think a lot to do with they sell more cameras than lenses because of the hype and the trend that people want Fujifilm cameras. They don't really care. Most people who buy the Fujifilm cameras are just getting the kit lens. They don't really care what's on it. You know, as long as it looks good, and that they're happy.
That's what is it, 13 to 33, whichever that new kit lens is for the X30 Mark III, XT30 Mark III. That would have been nice on the XM5, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Because it's a very, very wide little zoom. Anyway, that aside, it's like Lumix S. If Panasonic wants the S9 to be successful, it needs to make more lenses that are the right size for it. And I think it's the same for Fujifilm.
They need a bunch of like f2 full frame lenses prime, so they can have the size, but they don't.
The specs don't have to be outrageous. They can be quite modest. So long as the lenses are of a size that suit the camera, I think.
No, I agree. I mean, I would be much more happy to see more little primes on the S system than what they have currently. They're all like bulky 1.4 or zoom lenses, which is huge.
The Lumix S primes are really rather good, and they're all the same size, which is nice. But they fit much better on the S5 II, for example, than they do on the S9.
That's for sure.
Now then, sixth place. So I think we get into the good stuff. This is not like negative from my point of view. Just trying to create some kind of rank. And I've got Nikon Z in sixth place.
No, you're killing all the mounts that I have now.
I know, deliberate. Controversy at home. That's what we want. No, I think it's a great mount, and there is increasing third-party support. The Viltrox situation is a worry, but I think they'll blow over. I really do. And I quite like it because if you get the DX version lenses for the APS-C cameras, you can just pop them on the bigger ones and vice versa. The only thing I find quite weird with both the Nikon Z and Canon RF mounts on the APS-C models is the lens throat is huge compared to the sensor inside. It just looks weird. Just looks weird.
Yes.
That's the visual thing, really.
Yeah, I mean,
but no, Nikon said I think it's got potential. I'm not convinced that the Nikon's own lens range is particularly cohesive, and there aren't really many compact lenses to speak of. But
my take on this Nikon Z, even being a Nikon Z user now as well, is that the Nikon S lenses are great. So is all the top end lenses. They're fantastic. They're fantastic, but they are so expensive. The problem is, they are so expensive. Even a 1.8 prime, you would have thought, 1.8 traditionally you're looking at like £300-400 lens, but Nikon 1.8 S lenses, they are like 700-800 £800 lens. They're not cheap. If you want a cheap lens, you have to go for the non-S version, which now they call it the entry-level lenses, including some of the rather affordable 1.4 primes, so like the 51.4, the 35 1.4 non-S lenses. They are like £500, £350, something like that, and which is quite affordable, if you think about it. But you don't get the top quality Nikon signature contrast. You get from, if you're a Nikon user, you know what I mean, right? The S lenses are so good. When you just suddenly switch back to the non-S lenses, you say, oh no, they're rubbish. For people who are not used to these lenses, they buy into the normal lenses, they're fine. They're absolutely okay. But for those diehard Nikon users, I think that they wouldn't look at the non-S lenses, to be honest. But if you do want the S lenses, you are paying double the price for the equivalent minimum.
It's an expensive system. Also, they're not designed for compactness, are they? I mean, this is a broad issue with full frame in general, isn't it? The cameras are small, the lenses are not, especially if you want pro quality lenses and fast maximum apertures. But yeah, I think the Nikon Z mount there's nothing intrinsically wrong with it, and the choice is improving, and Nikon does make some affordable non-S line lenses. They're quite good enough for the price they're asking. I just think it's not quite there yet. It's not quite there yet. But would I recommend it's a system get into?
Well,
excuse me. I think twice.
If they can resolve, hopefully they will. These Viltrox issues about third-party lenses, I think it will make the system a lot more attractive, because they have more options for lower price points while achieving, good quality optics. Viltrox is a prime example. They're now churning out really good lenses for literally all mounts now. The Sony E and the Nikon Z, and the equivalent, compared to Sony and Nikon's own lenses, they are half the price, which is what typical third-party lenses are. If you look at Sigmas, well, Sigmas, like what we talked about earlier, the 70-200 2.8, Sigmas is usually half the price of what Canon or Nikon or Sony charges, so they are a lot cheaper by comparison. So it's not actually just a Viltrox thing. It's just general third-party thing. They are going to be a lot cheaper, a lot more affordable. You're not going to get the same optical performance quality compared to the top end stuff, because at the end of the lenses are lenses, right? You still have to pay to get the top quality stuff, but unless you are trained with the eyes, you won't be able to tell the difference, most of the time, to be honest.
Well, I think we're moving into a post-resolution world, aren't we? 5 years ago we wanted 40 megapixels, and now we can't find a use for it. So because most of our content is consumed digitally, isn't it now?
Oh, on that topic, let me sidetrack a little bit. I don't know, you have seen the news in the last couple of weeks. Big news though, I think, not necessarily affecting us, maybe indirectly, but not sure if you heard about Sony, TCL, and some other manufacturers are dropping their 8K TV production. They're completely abandoning it. They are now refocusing on 4K quality because they didn't sell enough 8K screens. So so that's a sign that we've been pushing for high resolution for both stills and video capturing, and you know, if you
Isn't
don't
that
have
interesting?
if you don't have that 8K monitor and panel, all your 8K contents are going to be compressed into 4K. You're not going to see really technically that much difference.
Who's delivering 8K content? There are no delivery systems for 8K, are there, really?
No.
If you're talking about making films in 8K.
Yep.
So maybe that's a stretch too far. I mean, 4K is not universal. If you're like me and you watch stuff on a digital broadcast TV, you're not even getting full HD. You're probably getting full HD, not getting 4K. And you know, the world keeps turning.
Yep.
We haven't really fully engaged with 4K, I don't think. If you put stuff on YouTube, do you upload it as 4K or 1080? I don't know. Some people do make a speciality of.
I upload everything.
4K.
I upload everything in 4K, but every time I play back, and I can see the system automatically downgrade to 1080 anyway, the full HD. And to be honest, how many phones are capable of actually have a 4K screen? Most of the phones don't have a 4K screen.
They don't.
So they don't need it. They don't need it.
It's more like 2K, really. Is that even tablets aren't a lot higher?
So it's interesting, right?
Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. And I think as well, 8K video production, I think most editing professionals are so used to a kind of proxy workflow where you just work with lower resolution versions of your video and just render the full resolution version at the end. I can't imagine there are many professionals editing 8K in real time or feeling the need to. I don't know. Somebody who knows more about this than I do would have to say, but 8K might have been a stretch too far.
Well, I mean,
that's interesting news.
Most of the editors would, you know, they go for the speed in terms of and efficiency when it comes to editing.
Yeah.
So they don't need to see the details.
No.
And so you're right. You know, they mostly just render a proxy and they just edit through the proxy. And only when the final delivery, when they're happy about the edit, then they will export the full version, the full resolution of the entire video. And rarely you'll see people edit such a high resolution files because it takes up so much resources.
Yeah.
And when it comes to timeline, if you have multiple layers, it's going to be very resource hungry. You need supercomputers literally to edit those stuff.
Yeah, and when you're doing previews for clients.
Yep.
They don't need to see 4K. They just want to see the style and the narrative and where it's going and the grading.
Yeah.
And you don't need to do that at full resolution. So interesting news.
Yes, it is indeed. Okay.
Right. So Nikon said decent. Let's see. 5th place. I'm wondering whether I got the order right here, but never mind. We'll carry on. 5th place, I've got E-mount. Because I think that is quietly developing into something interesting.
You think so?
Because I think so, because it's the only mount where you've got 3 different camera makers.
Yep.
Which is quite cool. I mean, one of them doesn't make many cameras. Another one makes cameras you can't afford. But even so, it's quite an open mount.
Yep.
And you can get a fair old choice in L-mount lenses too.
Yeah.
So I think that is an interesting format that has some potential.
Yeah. It certainly, to me, is an interesting mount, and it really reminds me of the MFT, the Micro Four Thirds Alliance, when they first announced. You know, you got 2 camera makers making the same mount. You can interchange the lenses. You got compatibility from both sides. Not 100%, I admit, but then you do have the compatibility that you can use each other's lenses. Maybe certain features are omitted, for instance, like dual IS, and then some of the aperturing doesn't work on the Olympus camera or whatever, vice versa. But overall, you can still use those lenses if you really want to. It doesn't stop you from there. So you do have an element of compatibility, and because of that, you have more lenses to choose from, even more so, you know, because you've got 2 manufacturers making lenses, so then you can have something that maybe Panasonic had and Olympus then didn't have, or vice versa. So each cam can choose whatever focal length or based on features or aperture size, whatever they want, and mix and match the lenses. And I think L-mount's strength is also from there. And being a new mount, and also it's good that have the combined effort in releasing lenses. That means that, you know, you don't have to spend the resources and making all the lenses for a new mount altogether from scratch. You know, the likes of Lumix, where you can imagine how much money Panasonic will have to invest into the new S system if they don't have the Alliance. You know, that means that they have to spend a fortune just to develop a good set of lenses. It's going to be a huge expenditure for them. But now they got Sigma, you know, and Leica, so instantly you got access to all these lenses. Despite how many people do buy the Leica lenses, remains unknown, because I think that only the Leica user will buy the Leica lenses because they are just quite expensive and bulky.
Wait, you're not going to buy a Leica SL3 and use a Sigma lens, are you? You're going to go for it.
You're going to go for the full. I mean, it's no point you have a tuxedo and having a t-shirt underneath, right? You know.
yeah, exactly.
You're gonna get a full look.
But I think that Sigma's really pushing hard. It does all its lenses in L-mount anyway. Yeah. Even APS-C ones. So one day perhaps we'll have an APS-C L-mount camera. Who knows? Yeah. But I also have quite admiration for the Lumix S lenses, because they're more geared towards the consumer vlogging market in terms of price and specifications, but they've got a whole bunch of f1.8 primes, which are very slick, very quiet, very efficient, and not too expensive, and they're all the same size. And there's the 12 to 60 variable aperture kit lens, which is quite useful. 12 to 60, what am I talking about? 20 to 60. It's a useful focal range, and it's of the same size. So if you're used to doing stuff on a gimbal, you can swap lenses. You might have to rebalance, you might not, but I do think the Lumix S kind of consumer end lenses are quite good. The pro lenses are a bit thin on the ground, aren't they? Did you get to try the Lumix S 50mm f1.4?
No.
I think that came out with the original Lumix S1 and S1R. That is the biggest 51.4 I've ever seen. It's colossal.
Well, if you think about colossal lenses, I mean, like literally all, I would say all the Leica L-mount lenses are they're truck size. They're just so big, you know.
They're not very small, are they? No,
it's 28 to 70. 2.8 it's not even a constant 2.8 aperture. It's a variable aperture, I believe. It's 2.8 to f4.
They do the 2.8 to f4 business, don't they?
But even with the non-constant aperture, that lens is almost the same size as the Canon 28 to 50, 70 f2 lens. You know, it's just so big and heavy for such a lens, and the 70 to 200, I think they finally released a 2.8 aperture constant aperture lens, but even that as well, that is humongous. I just don't know, because while the Leica SLs are, to me anyway, they're quite slick and quite cool cameras, and then but I don't think ergonomically they are, you know, they're on the same comparable level to, like, let's say the top end Canon RF cameras or the Nikon Z cameras, because they're ergonomically more better with the grip, proper grip with the contours and everything. And Leica doesn't
difficult.
have that.
No, I think it's yet another instance where the cameras are designed beautifully. For lenses, they're like only 2/3 the size that they actually ended up. It's a very different experience using those SLs. I think the interface design is wonderful, but the lenses are big. But that's Leica. You're spending that money. You better have something to show for it.
Well, you are definitely showing. You can't hide it.
So it's an old sort of alliance, isn't it? Panasonic, Leica, and Sigma. But I think it's still interesting, and I think as well, Blackmagic has started using the L-mount, hasn't it, for its cinema cameras, or one of them.
I need to double check on who's the alliance members now, but I do know that there are a few new companies joining the L-mount alliance. That means there will be more people making L-mount lenses.
Yeah.
So that will be very, very interesting. Mark Hassler saying that OM system should make a full-frame L-mount camera. Something that we talked about last week, actually, and because we had the discussion last week when you weren't here, and we just throwing a big if question. What if, OM this and did that, and then I think one of the point that we brought out was that what if OM did join the L-mount alliance and then make full-frame cameras?
Well, what if OM system had designed the Lumix S5? That might have been a more interesting camera.
Well, imagine
the S9.
The S5 looks like this. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll buy it with a heartbeat. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, this is just backtracking to Nikon for a moment. I think the ZF is a bit of a triumph for Nikon, because although people don't go on about it so much anymore, this is a genuinely nice camera, and it's all very well saying cameras are just there to do a job.
Yeah.
But you have to feel some attraction towards them, don't you? You have to feel some connection with them. And I think that's what the ZF does.
Yeah. Especially for younger generations as well. People, when they buy a camera, it has to, it's all because of the lifestyle that I have these days, right? They have to have kind of tie into their appearance, the aesthetic, the overall thing. I think a lot of these retro looking cameras are not only currently trending, but also, it does make you want to carry it more. And when you do carry it, you tend to shoot with it. And then, and the more you do that, and then the more you feel good about it, but by spending all that money buying a camera.
I think we're now in an economy where it's no longer what you say, it's what you look like.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So
And another news I came across this morning is another quite interesting as well. Apparently in China and Japan, a lot of young photographers are buying a lot of Fujifilm cameras. But in Korea, they're buying ZF almost exclusively if they want something retro looking. Really? So there's a little bit of a
interesting
preference differences there, and I don't think they really care about the format. They don't. I don't think majority of the new photographers will care too much about full frame or APS-C. And for those who are more conscious about how they look, how the camera looks, and it's certainly you can see the appeal there. Whether it's OM systems or the Nikon ZF or ZF-C and the Fujifilm cameras, they all have that retro charm that people would like to go for these days. So it's quite interesting to see that why one country would prefer one particular look while the others are totally different.
It's interesting. I wonder if the import duties are different, and whether that's a factor.
But majority of them are made in China or made in Vietnam anyway.
Yeah. So there's no particular territorial loyalty involved, I wouldn't have thought.
No.
But it's interesting. But yeah, I think there are a couple of cameras out there that could sell the whole range and the whole mount system. Yeah. And I think the ZF is one of them. Interesting. Maybe the ZR one day.
Yeah.
Because I know you quite like to look at that.
I do.
Interesting. Numbers 3 and 4 on my list, I think I've put them too high up the list. So I should have dealt with them earlier. Because they shouldn't be up there. But I'm gonna say number 4, Canon EF. Because I know it's an old mount.
Right. Yep.
But it's still current in some circles. Like I think the Blackmagic 6K cameras, I'm not sure they're still current. They use Canon EF. And it's surprisingly popular amongst filmmakers for a while. Probably not anymore.
Yep.
But the main reason I rate it is you can still buy Canon EF mount cameras. So you can still buy the 16 Mark II and the 5G Mark IV.
Yes.
And there are lots of lenses out there. You can still buy some of the lenses. And on the used market, because DSLRs have fallen from grace, you can get very good lenses for not much money.
No.
So I think it's an old system, it's a legacy system, but it's still alive and still interesting, particularly for people who want classical photography experience for not much money.
Yes, I think so. I think you're quite right there. I mean, I personally do like the EF mount, and I think that for a lot of indie filmmaker, which you already mentioned, I think they still use a lot of the EF lenses for that purpose. And to be quite honest, some of these old school Canon EF-L lenses are pretty characterful. You know, the likes of the 51.2L and the 85 1.2L, they're not sharp lens, but in filmmaking, you're not asking about sharpness all the time. You know, it's about the look and feel of it, and then and these lenses will provide plenty of those characters if you really want to shoot wide open, for instance, and I think they are great lenses for that purpose.
I think as well we can easily overestimate the importance of AF technology for filmmaking, because not all filmmakers work the same way.
No.
When I presented a lot of videos for N Photo magazine where where we had me doing the presenting and the guy behind the camera.
Yeah.
That was all done on an EOS 60D of all things.
Yep.
And it's just standard way of working. You stand there, I'll focus, we film. You're not always moving around the frame, changing your distance. That is just one style of filmmaking. When you're filming something where you have a setup, you can control the focus and the framing in such a way that the AF tracking is not really as important. If you can't control your actors and what's happening, that's when you need AF tracking. But a lot of video is shot in a very controlled, static kind of way. So
I mean, that definitely. I mean, I feel filmmaking is a very different thing, and I know that we talk about AF cine lenses these days. I mean, I know Zero and some other companies are now starting to make AF cine lenses, but I think that they only appeal to a certain type of scenario, certain type of usage. Majority of filmmakers and videographers will still use it as a manual lens, and because they can control, like you said, every filmmakings, especially those productions, high-end productions. Everything's rehearsed, everything is planned. They know exactly where the actors go from point A to point B. Everything is predetermined, and the speed of focusing. While the cameraman will decide how the speed of it, or the director will say, okay, I want it to be slowly by changing the focus from this point to that point, and something that you can't tell the camera to do that, because although you can set the speed of focusing, but you just don't have that control, the finite control that you can have with a manual. So for that, I think that it's still gonna be a while before you can see anything that auto is gonna happen.
It's difficult, isn't it? Because a controlled pulled focus is a standard cinematic technique, and it's not something you can easily pull off with autofocus. You need a focus operator or a camera operator who can do it. The minute you start working with the crew, you've got people who do these jobs. So you've got someone whose job it is to do the focusing. It would be quite cool to have a camera where you could program in a focus transition from one point to another. But by the time you program that in, it's got to be quicker to focus manually. Especially if the director has a look and says, no, that's too slow, that's too fast, and you have to spend 5 minutes reprogramming it. So I think a lot of, getting back to the point, although the EF mount is old tech, in many ways for certain styles of filmmaking, it's still perfectly usable. It's just that these days nobody ever talks about anything but vlogging. But filmmakers work in all sorts of different ways. They've got nothing to do with that style.
I know I'm going to sidetrack a little bit, but like for the past 2 to 3 years, a lot of the camera techs, a lot of the gimbal techs that from DJI and other companies, if you look at the technology that they introduce, they're really aiming for solo creators who film themselves. So they're not these technologies in filmmaking, in high-end commercial stuff. They're useless, completely useless.
No point to them.
Like if you work in a film set, who's going to use a gimbal like that? Who's going to use a cell tracking algorithm to do anything like that? No one's used that. Autofocus, nah. these are nothing that they will use in a proper production. But it's only content creators who use them. It's only that really small production house, if they really lack of personnels or assistants, then that you know basically you are one man band kind of filming, then you use autofocus or any tracking things. But majority of the high-end production with a crew, with a budget and things like that, nobody is going to use that as any of these technology that we have seen in the past 5 years.
So keep your old EF lenses on using that 60D, except that it's only full HD. It couldn't do 4K. But it is interesting. It also interests me. You get so many YouTubers who talk about hybrid cameras and autofocus.
Yep.
They do their presenting in a studio at a desk. They're not moving.
No.
They're probably using manual focuser to do it. If they're getting on and walking around, then they might need focus tracking. But even today, even solo shooters are very often filming themselves in static setups. So it stops being important.
No. Paul is actually mentioning something quite interesting, right? Metabones.
Yeah. He seems to know all the things I know nothing about. Perhaps you can answer that one. Jimmy. I know what they are, but I've never used them.
Metabones are great back in the days when during the transition between the DSLRs to mirrorless technologies, because at the time there weren't many mirrorless lenses available, so a lot of people had to adapt lenses from the old DSLR days to mirrorless cameras like the Sony cameras, for instance. I think majority of the Metabones were sold for E-mounts, and because people were adapting Nikon F and then the EF lenses into Sony E system. Metabones also had a bunch of what they call the focal reducers or whatever. I can't remember the name for it. They're quite cool.
Stop me if I've got this wrong, but I thought the principle of those was they shrunk a full frame image onto an APS-C sensor.
Yep.
But also use the extra light.
Yep.
To create a faster, effective aperture. Is that right?
That's right. Yes. So there is a bunch of glass. There's a bunch of glass elements in it, but they're not cheap. I think one of those focal reducer. Even back in the days, they're £500 each. They're about a lens price basically. But if you're working in the film industry, or if you want to adapt some of these old school full frame lenses on an APS-C or even micro four third cameras, which a lot of people did for when they were filming the Panasonic GX camera, the GX4 and GX5 back in the days. A lot of people bought these Metabone adapters, used like the Canon EF-18 to 51.8, and then some of these 24 to 105, 1.8, f4 lenses. But they got a focal reducer, which is reduced by 0.7 or 0.6 at a time. So a 1.4 aperture would become a f1 lens, and an f2.8 become like an f2 lens. That is kind of cool. Think about it.
So if Canon and Nikon have their wits about them, why don't they, instead of doing these just like empty lens adapters for DSLR lenses onto mirrorless, make optical Metabone style focal reducers? So that you can put your full frame lens on and get a faster lens of the right angle of view for your APS-C camera.
Yeah. Crazy.
Instead of a Nikon FTZ adapter, maybe you could have a Nikon, I don't know, focal reducer adapter. That'd be quite cool.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is about Metabone now, I think that their heydays are almost gone now, because unfortunately now we have a huge selection of mirrorless lenses now, and even the cine world, in the filmmaking world, a lot of the cheap lens makers are now making the lenses compatible with mirrorless cameras. So we really don't need a lot of these focal reducers anymore. And although if you're still shooting micro four third APS-C, you still want to use some of these, you can still get a Metabone adapters, but I think the sales is plummeted quite a bit, and you don't see many people using them now, and because supply and demand at the end of the day, the demand is quite low at the moment, so the price of these adapters have gone up quite a bit as well. So I think you now have to pay like £600-700 for a focal reducer now. So think about it.
Probably cheaper than the new lenses, but
probably
understandable. Understandable, but it would be quite appealing to, if you have a Sony A6700, for example, but a bunch of full frame FE lenses.
Yep.
To have a nutty little focal reducer adapter to put on, but don't know.
Yeah.
Probably not cost effective.
No.
So I think I might have the EF-mount a bit too hard to list. I think I probably should have put it above my number 3 one, which is Nikon F. But I like the Nikon F mount for a similar reason, because it's like the Pentax K mount. It goes back decades.
Yep.
And while we still had Nikon F mount cameras, not all of them, the cheaper cameras couldn't do it, but the more expensive ones could use lenses that went back to way back when. Just put them on and they work. So that was very appealing, and it kind of still is. If you buy an old Nikon D800, for example, you can use Nikon lenses going way back. You don't get autofocus, and the manual. You may have to intervene with manual exposure here and there, depending on the configuration and the compatibility. But I like the Nikon F lens mount for that reason. I think I probably should have put it a bit below Canon though, because I think the lens throat is slightly narrower, and as everything went digital and the lenses got more ambitious, that led to some pretty weird lens shapes. Because if you have Nikon 24-70 f2.8, that is quite narrow at the camera, quite wide up front, and quite long as well. I always used to think they felt like trumpets full of concrete, if you can imagine something like that. They were big old lenses that were quite front heavy. But got a soft spot for the Nikon F mount, and perhaps the reason I put it above the EF mount is that there were no compatibility issues between the APS-C and the full frame cameras. You put an APS-C lens on a full frame camera, it was cropped, but it's fine. Nothing broke. Nothing happened.
That's one good thing about the this kind of like cross compatibility between APS-C or the DX versus FX in the Canon cam. I mean Nikon cam. I do like that. I see the convenience of it these days, and especially now I have the ZF-C and the ZF, so APS-C and full frame, so I can swap the lenses around, so and I can still use them, which is quite handy sometimes. Despite in a full frame, if you use an APS-C, you do crop in a little bit, so that means you lose megapixels, but like all things, not just about megapixels, it's about capturing the images. So I don't mind it sometimes. It's interesting you put it above EF though, and
I think that's a mistake. This is all very arbitrary. It's all very arbitrary.
Of course.
But then I always was a Nikon user. I'm only recently a Canon user, so maybe I feel some loyalty towards that mount. But I think it's the same situation that Canon is in now, that you can still buy a couple of Nikon DSLRs, but they're just really cheap used, and so are the lenses, and they're pretty good. Not for video perhaps, but for photography, things haven't moved on that far.
You can get some really decent Nikon DSLR lenses or SLR lenses,
you can,
and but they still hold on to their money quite well. I have to, surprisingly.
It depends on the lens, I think, probably.
I mean, I was looking at some of the, because I for a long time I've been looking for an autofocus 28mm for the Nikon system, because they don't make it anymore. They're all 24. So like the only 28mm they made was back in the DSLR time.
Was it D-type or the G-type?
It was a G-type, and then the G-type, they have the 28 1.4, which is expensive, and then they have the I don't know whether the cheaper was a D-type or G-type, can't remember now, but it was a 1.8, I believe. I was looking at that as well, but even that, it was still about £600-700 used, so they're not cheap.
The zooms are pretty cheap. I picked up a 24 to 120. For my Nikon DSLRs, and I think that was less than 300. For excellent condition, and I got a 16 to 35 f4 for about the same price, which I think is quite cheap for professional quality SLR lenses.
Yeah.
So it will depend on the lens. I think you probably look to lenses that are fashionable, whereas
I don't
the
know.
two
I don't
lenses
know.
I bought are not really fashionable.
I would have thought no one wants 28 millimeters anymore. You know, I thought I might be the only person in the world who wants 28 mil, and because everyone would like to go for the 24 these days.
Yeah, you'd think so, wouldn't you? Yeah, maybe it's the rarity that's pushed up the price. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean that's the exact reason why I bought the 18 millimeters 1.4 from Fuji, the LM, because it's equivalent to 27 millimeters, close enough to 28. So it's had the same angular view, and having a 1.4 aperture, so I can shoot almost the same as a 1.8 f2 kind of full frame look. So I get that look, and I get the angular view, so I get what I want. I mean, eventually, but I mean, if I can still find a really good 28 millimeters for Nikon Z, I would go for it. At the moment, I'm using the Viltrox 28 1.8, which is a cheap lens. It's only about £250, but it's autofocus. It's got huge distortion, which I don't like, but it's a 28 mil.
Yeah, it's interesting the focal lengths that people prefer, isn't it?
Yeah,
and if you start using prime lenses, it really focuses your attention. No pun intended, because you realise that certain lenses work in certain situations. Yeah, but other lenses are just completely wrong, and you have to swap.
The funny thing is, once you train your eyes into a certain focal length, and as soon as you see something, you immediately know what you're gonna do, because you're so used to that focal length. You know, okay, that's what I'm gonna get out with. Almost like a second nature, because you don't have to faff around with the focal length trying to twist the focal range to see which one looks better, looks good or not. And for me, if I see something, because I'm so used to primes, I know what lens I need to use or what's an aperture I need to do to capture that scene at that moment in time.
I think my taste is changing slowly. I was always a big fan of ultra wide lenses for urban photography.
Yep.
But I'm kind of drifting towards 50 millimeters now. Because you just have to, you don't shoot the same subjects. You shoot different subjects, but you don't get that same convergence. Which can be a little bit irritating. But you do get a sense of layering with images with foreground and background. It's quite nice. But people have different tastes, don't they?
Yeah, but, I mean, I change from time to time too, you know, and for my portrait work, I think 28, 35, 50 are the most frequently used focal lengths.
Interesting.
And I mean, even though people think that, okay, I'm a portrait guy, so I should use a lot 85, right? In fact, 85 is probably one of my least used focal lengths, because I don't shoot in the studio, and I don't do headshot a lot, and a lot of them I use a focal length that I can suck in the background into the frame, so I need a wider focal length to do that.
The scene is part of the photograph. I guess, with what you're doing.
So because of that, I don't use very long lenses or medium tele lenses, and they are very isolated cases that I'll use them, but not very frequent at all.
Interesting. Right, I'm going to skip. I'm going to pass by the Nikon F now, because I think I'll probably put it too high. Well, I've got my number two.
Your number two, right?
MFT.
Hey, Michael 4/3. Ranking number 2, Rots Lit. Awesome. We made it to number 2.
We're down to sheer practicality now.
Okay.
For the top 2. MFT, because I think it's the only mount where the lenses, for the most part, have lived up to the potential of that small format.
Yep. Okay.
And because you've got 2 camera makers, well, 3 if you count kind of more niche products, or 4 in making MFT cameras.
Yep.
And you've got a cross compatibility between cameras and lenses that works pretty well. I think the AF isn't as fast on the other brand, if you know what I mean. And sometimes the hybrid IS doesn't work as expected. But you can take a Lumix G lens, put it on your OM camera, and it just works. You take an OM system lens, put it on a Lumix camera, just works. It's fine. So I think because of that, because of the ranges out there, and because they're quite affordable, it's a good system to get into because it doesn't cost you a fortune, and because mostly the lenses match the size of the format much better.
Yes.
Than most other systems. So I think it's a good lens mount for those reasons.
Yep, I think so. And the sheer amount of choices, whether it's Micro Four Thirds mount originally or adapting to the Micro Four Thirds platform, it's simply huge. And you know, and because of the format, you know, being a smaller sensor, it does have an advantage, not just for size, but for some people who may want to experiment into looks and art forms and things like utilizing some really quirky optics. The MFT platform is by far the best choice compared to the full frame. And the reason I say that is because I remember back in the early days of Micro Four Thirds, when there weren't that many lenses available, a lot of people were adapting lenses or find lenses that they can adapt to the Micro Four Thirds platform. So obviously adapting full frame lenses to Micro Four Thirds never quite worked, because imagine the how much they have to crop from a full frame lens back in the days, and a lot of those lenses weren't exactly that sharp to start with, and by adapting to it just looks horrible. So what people started to do is, and they started looking at a lot of this vintage cinecam like Super 35 lenses. They're looking at a lot of the CCTV lenses and adapting to Micro Four Thirds camera and starting to either use as a video or still lenses to get some really quirky results that people would pay a lot of money for these days. And it still exists. People still buying these little old school I would call it experimental lenses back in the days, because they don't really cost a lot of money, but you can have some fun with it. So I think for that, you know, you're adding another layer that people don't usually talk about. You know, we always talk about how sharp the lens should be, but there are also a group of photographers who like to do abstract work, to do some really quirky stylized stills or videos. Simply you can't get from post-production, and something that it comes from the lens. And this is when I think MFT would have a huge advantage when it comes to adapting or experimenting with these low lenses, because you can't adapt, well you can, but you won't get the same quality from these old CCTV lenses, Super 35 lenses on a much larger format camera. You just simply won't get that.
It's an interesting perspective. I hadn't thought of that when my thoughts were fairly practical. We're talking about kind of creative experimentation. I think it's not particularly the mount, it's really the cameras, but nobody ever talks much about Olympus and Gnome system art filters. They're not all great, but there are filters amongst them that you just don't get with other cameras. There are some grainy black and white filters, and some pop art filters, which really give you a striking look. They go much further than other camera makers. So if you are into experimentation, they're well worth experimenting with. But there are also lenses like the 9mm fisheye body cap.
Oh yeah,
great little lens size. That really is a great £89. Terrific little lens if you want to experiment. But there's also the 14 to 42 EZ pancake lens. There is no other travel pancake zoom like that.
There you go. It's so small. Look at that.
But it's actually optically it's perfectly tolerable. It's quite good enough. So if you want a travel camera, I don't think there's any other system I could recommend.
No, it's good. Funny you mentioned about the pop art or the art filters on the Olympus or OM system cameras. I don't know anyone actually have ever tried it. Is that you can actually select those filters and use it in video. It's a very cool thing, because we often talked about film things in black and white, or you have that kind of look and that look. You can actually apply those color art filters in video by selecting it, and it just should press record button. It will record in that mode. I did that once with when I first reviewed the Pentax camera way back, and the beginning of the video I used the art filter to record the first scene. It worked. It's really cool that no one else really does it, or maybe some do that I don't know about. But a lot of the art filters are specifically only for stills, and but for some reason it actually works in video mode as well for Olympus cameras.
That's very interesting. I mean, it's not directly connected with the mount itself, but it comes with it if you use system cameras.
Yep.
But I just think the MFT mount is small. The lenses are affordable.
Small, yes.
They're also small. I think it's just a particularly good piece of design that's actually quite versatile as well.
Yep.
And still quite current, as long as Panasonic and system persist.
I mean, obviously one of my favorite lenses, or in terms of like, is this one here, the 12 f2. You know, it's such a small lens.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
it's great. You know, like if you look at the size of these lenses, just compared to like other format or any format for that matter, I think like, you know, things like these really showcase Michael Forthert, the actual mount itself, and how small the lenses can be, without overbearing, you know, the actual aperture size. And this is an f2 lens as well, so it's not exactly that slow either.
It's one of the few instances where I think a manufacturer has made the mount work for the system.
Yep.
You know, it's size appropriate. I've just invented a new term. But before we came on, I told you, didn't I?
Yep.
System were doing a deal.
Half price
on the 75 1.8.
Oh, you got the gem there.
So this is basically equivalent to a 150mm f1.8.
Yeah. It's a great lens. It's a sharp lens.
It's just not big.
Yeah.
And after dithering for many years, I don't think this is necessarily optically brilliant, but I also half price got the 9 to 18.
Oh, the tiny one,
5.6. And see, this is an example of how to make a small mount effective, because it's a small lens. It's actually usefully small. It's a good travel lens because it gives you a decent focal range for architecture and landmarks and street photography. And it's small. It's I think you may have seen, as I have, the Sigma 10 to 18 APS-C lens.
Yeah.
That's very good. But it's rare for lens makers to produce lenses that are appropriate to the size of the cameras, I think. Oh, look, I've just seen in the comments, John Young has just bought an
EPL7.
EPL7. EP7 or EPL7?
EPL7.
EPL.
The older one.
Good choice.
Lovely camera, full metal build. Yeah, it's a really great camera.
That was a camera before its time.
Yeah.
If that was around today, you know, that'd be a real influencer camera, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. And you can, if you can still, John, try to get the EVF as well, because that's becoming rarer and rarer. You can only get them used now, but if you can find one, attach to the EVF, you can have this like really cool top-down view, you know, waist level shooting experience as well with this camera. That I will highly recommend getting an EVF. So I think it's the EVF4, Olympus EVF4. If you can still find one, I don't think they're that cheap because they're quite rare, but I think £150 you can probably get one. But they're pretty good resolution for the time, and much better than the EVF1 and EVF2. So much bigger eye relief as well. So it's actually a very, very good EVF. It works with EPL7. So see if you can get one of those.
So I like.
He has the EVF. Great.
Oh no! So Chris Patmore just below that is saying he also grabbed a 75mm at half price. I couldn't resist it either. Absolute bargain. But so this is the thing. One of the reasons I like the MFT mount is because it's widely available. There are lots of lenses and they don't cost a lot, and they are the right size to be portable. Yep. But it's also, if anyone ever said, I'm going traveling, what should I take?
Oh, MFT all the way.
I find it hard to recommend anything else because of the size and the weight and the cost.
Yeah, get a pen camera, the OM5 camera, equivalent, that sort of size. You know, it's so light. It's so good.
There are lots of other larger format cameras that are just as good or better, but it's very much harder to recommend lenses to go with them.
Yeah.
Because then they stop being travel cameras. And if you're traveling, you like being conspicuous. You don't want to be holding up a big camera. and confronting people. You just want to be subtler and just blend in more. So
and quite frankly, you know, like like MFT, if you look at it, if you think about it as a travel system, if you want a full feature, rugged, fully weather seal camera system, lens and camera, and I don't think there is anything else in the market that will give you that.
No.
You know, and I personally think that's why, like, every time I go travel, either the OM3 or OM5, you know, because it's so small, it's weather seal, and luckily now OM system has upgraded the 1.8 prime, the 25 and the 17, to be weather seal, the Mark II lenses. You literally can have that a really tiny weather seal system that you can walk around all day without having to worry about a thing. You know, you can't say the same thing on any format, any system outside of that. And I don't see anything that has come close to that sort of size, the weight, the ruggedness, and more importantly, for the price. You can't get that price down to that. No, simply.
No. We'd all like full frame. We'd all like more resolution. But you have to be practical and get the camera appropriate to what you're trying to do. So that is my number 2 choice. Yep. Now, my number 1 choice, wouldn't say I like it, but I can't deny it is the most practical lens mount of all. And
the evil.
Sony E. Sony
the
E.
Evil. The E Sony Evil. The Sony Evil.
Because Sony doesn't seem to be at all precious about licensing out the mount to third-party lens makers. So there's a huge range of lenses. You don't have to pay... Sorry, just see the comments. You don't have to pay a fortune to get quite good lenses. It's just the most open system with the most choice. I wouldn't necessarily buy Sony lenses. My Sony camera, I have one Sony lens in my system and 2 Tamron zooms and a Samyang. You don't have to stick with Sony in the same way that with other brands you kind of funneled into that brand's own lenses. So on a purely practical level, I would say Sony E. Also, there are no restrictions between the FE and the APS-C versions. As with Nikon, you can put an APS-C lens on a full-frame camera. It crops automatically, no way around that. But there are no incompatibilities; they just go straight on.
I mean, I think, you know, like, even though as much as I hate Sony stuff, and I wouldn't say hate. Sorry,
you can't say that.
And
intense dislike.
I dislike the camera bodies, you know, and but you know, I think if let's talk about practicality, talk about the mount itself, I do think the you know, you're right, you know, but how far have they come, you know, for the E-mount? You know, they came from nowhere. Like, I don't know how many years now, 15 years, and maybe a bit shorter than that. In this short period of time, they went from nowhere to now becoming, in your view, #1 mount in the world.
Well, I'm saying this on from a purely practical perspective. If you want to experiment with lenses, if you want the widest lens choice, I think it's a logical decision. I'm not a particular fan of the cameras. I think they are a practical purchase. They're something you buy with your head, not your heart. And I don't want to be. I'm trying to avoid being rude to 2 makers at once. But the one thing I would say about Sony Alphas is at least they're not Panasonic Lumix S cameras.
Well, it's
sorry, Panasonic. Sorry.
It's funny because I think that what Sony has done well is that they never mind about being open in terms of the system, the compatibility side of it. And you know, I think that's what propelled them to where they are today. I mean, I think you and I both briefly spoke about this before. When Sony first kind of came into the scene as a mirrorless maker, because before that they had the Alpha system, which they took over from Minolta, and but when they first investing into the mirrorless technology, launching the E-mount, where they knew they haven't got any lenses, they actually made it so open that they actually said that use your EF lenses, use your F lenses. We have an adapter for you. So they were open from day one, and I think that's kind of propelled them into making people use the camera, at least to try the cameras. And over time, that openness has now developed into a kind of like a cult in a way. You know, now that everybody makes lenses for Sony E, and it becomes so popular that now, if you looking at all the third-party makers, whether it's going to be Sigma, Tamron, even Viltrox and Laowa and them lot, the very first mount that they introduce is always going to be Sony E first, then the rest. You know, all the rest of the mounts will have to come a few months later. E is the first priority now, and because they don't mind it, you know, then they know there's going to be a seller, and there are so many populations, or even in terms of population wise, there's so many people using Sony E-mount system now, so they know in terms of percentage they're going to sell more E-mount lenses than Z-mount or any other mounts.
I think the reason I've got it at number one is I just think it's the safest mount to get into.
Yep.
Because the choice is there. There's never been any real hint of any restricted practice from Sony, and you can get very good lenses for not much money. The Tamron lenses I use on my Sony are actually very good. Much better than they should be for what they cost. So it's a good system to get into for that reason. I also think on limited experience that the Sony sensor or the Sony mount and the distance from the sensor, it makes them very tolerant to old analog lenses never designed for digital cameras. Because I used a Voigtlander 35mm coloscope, I think I've mentioned it to you before, Jimmy, with an adapter on my Sony, and it was fine. It worked very well. I tried the same thing on my Canon EOS R8 with an appropriate adapter for that, and it did not work well.
Yeah.
Because the edges just went purple. And I think essentially the Canon sensor, I don't know if it's all of them, but this one does not like light rays coming from an oblique angle. It's not very tolerant to off-axis light or high angles of incidence. So that's another reason I like the Sony mount, because old lenses you would never, they were designed before digital was even imagined.
Yep.
They work fine. Find an adapter, they work fine. Yeah. So I haven't found one yet that doesn't work well. Even my old Pentax K lenses work better on my Sony than they ever did on the Pentax DSLR. Sorry.
Wow. Okay, that's an interesting view from you. But I think, you know, the Sony is definitely very popular now, and in terms of mount and the choices of optics out there. From third party especially, it's I just couldn't never get past their bodies, and that's the only way they're kind of really stopping me from trying. Although having said that, I mean, I think I mentioned to you before as well, I probably will get a Sony camera at some point, just to expand for the channel so I can test some of the lenses, but.
Yeah,
I don't know if I ever will love the system, but I'll try it again. You know, my previous experience on the Alpha cameras weren't that great. You know, I found it quite sluggish to use, and then intermittent issues that I had. Yeah,
my A7 II is slow. My A7 III is a little better. I know these are not latest generation, but it is. I think even with the A7 III, you switch it off, and about 5 seconds later or 10 seconds later, it does like a ka-chunk as it closes something off in the camera that they hadn't done straight away. I don't know whether it's a curtain in front of the shutter or what it is, but they don't feel that responsive. I agree. Switching on and switching off, I found them a bit sluggish. But but otherwise, from a practical point of view, I'd say Sony. Sorry. I know there's some talk that the Sony E-mount was never intended for full frame. But it seems to work well enough, but some people would say the lens stroke is not quite wide enough, but I don't know if that's true.
Interesting.
It works fine.
Interesting. But one thing I want to say more about the Sony is that you know, and I mean, well, it's actually not about Sony. It's about the Panasonic. Because you were talking about the shutting down process of the camera. It takes about like 5 seconds to shut down. And I would say the opposite for Lumix cameras, regardless of whether it's going to be the micro four thirds or the full frame that I now got. Turning it on usually takes a long time. I don't know why, for whatever reasons. It feels like to me that the system would go into this hibernation, like not even sleep mode, but hibernation mode.
It's like worse than being off.
Yes, you know, like most camera, you switch it off, you know, for whatever time. You know, you switch it off for 5 seconds, switch it off for 5 days. When you switch it back on again, it should come on instantly. You know,
you would hope so, yeah.
Yeah, and my own system, Olympus camera, would switch on like instantly. My Nikon camera switch on instantly. The Fujifilm switch on instantly. But Lumix, on the other hand, once you go past, I don't know exactly the length, durations, whether it's going to be 5 hours or 1 day, but every time I switch off the camera for an extended period of time, if I want to switch it back on, it usually takes about 5 seconds, which is a very long time for it to wake up.
Interesting.
And if you switch it off, let's say for 15 minutes, switch it back on again, it's fine. You know, it's instant. But once you get into the deep sleep mode, and it takes forever to wake up. It's just really weird.
I'm just check my. You saying that? Let me just check my Sony to see if that is slow.
Yeah, because my G9 Mark II did it, my GX7 and GX6 did it, and now the S9 does it too. So it's really weird.
It's like a bad sleep mode or something like that.
I don't know.
I have encountered that before, but I can't remember which camera.
Yeah, but you wouldn't think that would be the case for modern cameras, but yeah, it still is for Lumix camera for some strange reasons.
Interesting.
Yep. Okay, right, we have reviewed the top 12 lenses, but actually one mount that we have missed.
Oh no, I knew there would be.
What about the Leica M mount? Is still current?
Yeah. I thought about it. About it, but then I thought, where the hell would I put it? It's difficult. It's a bit outside the normal.
That is true.
Normal, isn't it?
But there are plenty of alternatives though from Chinese manufacturers these days. You know, so there are about like easily a dozen Chinese lens maker making M mount lenses, so you can get quite a choice in terms of optics.
Nice Voigtlander lenses still being made as well.
Well, Zeiss and Voigtlander, yeah. Although both are Cosina.
There are some nice. Well, yeah, but there are some nice lenses. But is it a system that you could recommend people get into? Is it a mainstream system? I don't know.
Yeah.
You can use those lenses on other cameras with an adapter. That works pretty well.
Yeah. I'm just looking at some comment right now, and Chuck say we have to get a dentist to review the Leica M mount. So we're not rich enough to review the M mount.
That's right. That's right. Maybe a couple of accountants could step in as well.
Yeah. Well, anyone up for the job?
I've only been to the Leica factory in Germany once.
Yeah.
But there were so many people there. Is a launch of something or other. You realise you think it's a niche market, but there are lots of Leica fans.
Oh, absolutely.
Lots of people out there with money. How did they get it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you think about the latest 35 Noctilux, the 35 1.2. You know, the fastest 35 they ever done. You know, it's a lens that is announced from my sources, the people that I know in Leica, that told me that the pre-order's already full. So, I mean, it's a lens that costs $8,000, and then people just like queuing up to buy it. You think about the popularity, and the amount of people who will buy these sort of expensive lenses are there. You know, like so. I know we've been talking about how expensive modern digital lenses are, you know, but that's nothing compared to Leica stuff, you know, and they are menu-focused lenses.
But it's a different market. You wouldn't buy Leica M for professional photography.
Yeah.
I don't think so. It's a different market. But yeah, could have put that in. I did think about it, but then I thought I couldn't possibly justify it in amongst all the rest.
You don't want to upset your dentist or doctor, right?
No, especially when they've got the drill.
Oh yeah. Right. Just one quick question I want to answer. I think it's from this one here. Right. Which one would you choose for APS-C, Fuji or Sony? What do you think?
Well, do you think? You see, for me, if I was buying in Sony from the start again, I'd just go straight to full frame. Why? I know that Sony APS-C cameras are widely used, particularly for vlogging and travel, maybe. But I don't see it myself. It'd be straight to Fujifilm for me.
Yeah. I personally think that it depends what you do and what you shoot and how many lenses you need, and go from there. Because for me personally, I mean, like I said already, for my job, I usually use only about 3, maximum 4 lenses. I don't need more than 4 lenses in any one time. And from that 4 lenses, which system give me the best results? Or the best weight ratio, kind of thing, cost, everything combined in calculations. And I found that Fujifilm is actually better. And for the stuff that I do anyway, like I said, I already have the 33, the 18 1.4 from Fujinon, which are brilliant lenses, even though a bit bigger than normal. Then I just added a couple of Viltrox lenses, which are also equally good and half the price. And they are weather sealed, so it ties into the whole system quite nicely. So I have all my 3-4 lenses that I need for my jobs in the Fuji system. So if you want an APS-C, and I think that may not be a bad choice. I think for Fuji, like you said, if I go for Sony, I must go for full frame. I don't see the appeal of having an APS-C Sony camera when it's primarily a full frame system.
I think so. Because I think you're paying towards the same money.
Yep.
For a smaller system. I just don't quite. It doesn't quite gel in my head, really.
Yeah.
Why Sony? I think it's a cost and size are a factor.
Yeah.
But I think I'm probably the wrong person to ask, because I use MFT for size and full frame for quality.
Yeah.
And I don't feel any great need for anything in between. No. Which is one of the reasons I've liked Fujifilm gear, but it's never to me seemed to be one thing or the other.
Yeah, I see what you mean. But it's quite funny because now I use all of them. I use Michael Four Third, the Fuji, and Nikon full frame.
Yeah.
And now it's the Lumix S as well. I can see where you're coming from. The Fuji kind of somewhere in between, is not that small, and it doesn't give the full advantage of full frame either. And the lenses aren't exactly that small, especially for the latest stuff. But at the same time, I think depending on which camera you choose, and for me, the XM5, I mean, in terms of standouts, I think the XM5 and the one that I got now, the XH2S, I think these two cameras are technically sound. The XM5 is almost as good as the XH2S, just not as fast. Doesn't have the stack sensor, doesn't shoot that quick, doesn't have IBIS, but for what it is, for the price, I mean, you can't argue the capability of that little cameras there. And XH2S is equivalent to an OM1 Mark II in terms of speed, because it's got a stack sensor, so like you do have that speed going. The only thing it doesn't have really is the lack of all these long focal length macro lenses that OM system has, because they now have a whole arsenal of lenses that is catered for wildlife photography, while Fuji doesn't really have anything going in that game.
It's got a couple of longer lenses, but they're kind of scattered and a bit niche. I think the only reason I would go for Fujifilm is not because of the mount, but because of the cameras. So with Fujifilm has an expanded dynamic range mode, which I'm not sure a lot of people know about or use, which is really very useful indeed. I'm not a huge fan of the film simulations, but I do think the Fujifilm RAW files, especially with the dynamic range option enabled, are extremely workable.
Yes.
They're very good files to work with when you're editing.
Yeah.
Better than any other, I'd say. So that's probably why I'd go for Fujifilm, not specifically because of the mount, but because of the cameras.
And here, the same one now saying, what about the Leica TL? It's a dead mount, so but then it's it's something that you like. I think it's a quirky camera. It's quite a nice camera to have.
The autofocus isn't quick.
It's contrast detect AF, if I remember correctly. So it isn't particularly quick. But the setup that you mentioned here, the Type 701 and the 23 f2, which is equivalent to a 35 f2, for £1,000, I think it's pretty decent if the condition is good. And I wouldn't use it for anything serious because it doesn't have the speed.
I know.
But it's a really nice, cool camera.
Nice camera to have, not necessarily a nice camera to shoot with.
And also that kind of like really angular shaped body is not really my personal taste. It's a little bit like BF actually. It's a little bit like BF.
I've forgotten Sigma's mount. Remember that? For
the old Sigma mount.
for the Foveon TSLRs.
Yeah.
I can't remember what they called it. I keep wanting to call it SM mount, but I must be thinking of something else.
I can't remember now. They don't have many lenses anyway.
No, that's quite true. But it might be worth looking out for one of the old Quattros.
Yeah.
Do you remember those? They were really weird design, the Sigmas, yeah. If Sigma you want something quirky...
Sigma always had quirky, weird cameras.
Never
very
quirky or weirder than that. But maybe it's time those made a comeback on YouTube.
Yeah, well, everyone's looking back nowadays, so you never know. But I mean, if you want a TL, if you fancy a Leica, and the TL is a pretty cool camera to have. When I say it's not really a good camera to shoot with, I mean, you can kind of ignore that comment for a second. I mean, you can still shoot photos.
You're off the hook, Jimmy. That was me that said that.
It's just not a very quick camera. That's all.
It's not quick. It's a nice camera. It's just not particularly quick. Depends what you're getting it for. I've got a friend who's got one. Yeah. And really likes it. So, it's back to this thing about if a camera feels right in the hands. That's what matters.
Absolutely. Don't listen to us. Don't listen to us.
No.
Yeah.
Nobody I know listens to me. You're fine.
Right. Okay. I guess that brings... Wow, already spoken over 2 hours already. Can't believe it's quite a popular talk today. But wow, just really interesting talk. I think to see all the comments. I'm so sorry we couldn't quite go through all the comments, and I can see that quite a few of you have commented and also contributed to the chat today. Looks good. I don't know how many of you agree with today's list from Rod. Whether you agree the top place being the E-mount, Michael Forther at least in the top 3. I agree with that. And whether the worst mount is what you expect. I know we missed out a few mounts. A few people already talk about the Pentax Q, the Nikon 1, right? There are a few mounts that we kind of missed out, but to be quite honest, those are already kind of dead already. They're not releasing new cameras or new lenses, and they don't really have any third-party stuff going either.
No, I just got to say we'll have to do a different talk on cameras that should never have been killed.
Yeah.
What wouldn't we give now for a compact mirrorless system with a decent 1-inch sensor and interchangeable lenses?
Oh,
sorry, Nikon. You were ahead of the curve and you paid the price. They
could have kept it, but they just dumped it.
I know, but I think we'd all be interested now in a decent interchangeable lens camera with a 1-inch sensor at the right price and size. Bring it back. Well,
before we go, of course, before we wrap up, and Carl asked a question: are we going to be at the photography show this year?
Yep.
We're going to be there. We're going to be there. And if any of you are in the UK, are heading towards the photography show in March, we'll both be there. And so I think, Rod, you're going to be there from Saturday to Monday?
Saturday till middle of Monday.
Yeah, I'll be there from Saturday to Tuesday to the very end because I'm a speaker there as well. So I'm going to be there doing some talks. But if you go there, you may see us walking around filming and then doing a little bit of a chat along the show and talk to different manufacturers and looking at some of the new stuff. And if any of you bump into us, be sure to come and say hi. Don't be shy. You know, just come and say hello.
Yeah.
And buy us a coffee. We're very happy with that.
Cake. You forgot the cake.
Cake, yeah, oh yeah, cake, of course, anything that would be nice. So we will be there. Hopefully we'll see you guys as well. So that's it for today's chat, and I hope you guys enjoyed today's talk about lens mount. And I know that it's a long thing today. We've done 12 different mounts today, and we all give us the reasons why we like it, why we don't like it. And I think it's an interesting thing for people who are into photography, into gear, because I'm pretty sure most of you are quite experienced and have enough knowledge to know about the camera industry for the past 12 plus years. So anything that we talk about today will resonate one way or the other about, you know, how you feel about photography and gear in general, because we've been through all these mounts from our time, and it sounds quite old now, unfortunately. Well, sorry, Paul, it's your fault, Paul. You know, you mentioned about Vivitar. Yeah. That's what caused it.
How far back are you gonna go?
I know, right? And so it's great chat. We're gonna do some more next week, and maybe we can look at some of the topics all together. But if you have any idea, anything you would like to talk about, please let us know in the comment section below, or anything that you think that we talk about today that resonate with you. And please also to do leave some comments down below. So we like to read about your thoughts. So that's all very fun for us, actually. Our pastime is to read your comments. And we always do that at nighttime, like 12 o'clock at night. We're going to have a coffee reading your comments.
Yeah. I don't do it 12 o'clock at night because then I can't sleep.
Excellent. Well, Paul says sorry. Okay, right. Vivitar. We're now gonna nickname you as Vivitar now. So there you go, Paul. All right.
Paul Vivitar Genge.
Yeah, Paul Vivitar Genge. That rings the bell, you know.
It's got a sound to it.
Absolutely. Right, guys, thank you very much for joining us, and I hope to see you all next time. If not, I will see you all at the photography show, which is only coming in about a month's time. Can you believe that?
I know. It's come around quickly.
I know.
Birmingham NEC. Excellent.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this time it's Birmingham, not London. Don't tell me in the wrong place. Yeah. Don't tell me in the wrong place.
No.
Yep. All right, guys, I'll see you all very soon. Bye for now.
See you all. Bye. Cheers. Bye.